you. Hi everyone, my name is Stephanie Shutt, and I first want to thank everyone for attending this webinar. My position is the Director of the Multiple Awards Schedule Program. That means that I do the strategic direction for this program, and I help all of our different acquisition centers come together to work as one enterprise. Today's presentation is going to be focused on the Multiple Award Schedules program, specifically on the consolidation. And this is going to go in depth into what we did related to the consolidation, how we pulled everything together so that there's a deeper understanding, and going through all those different types of things so you guys can find what you need to find and understand this whole process. As David said, at the end we will do a Q&A session. There will be a pod that will open up to type in your questions. If you do have questions along the way, I do recommend that you do write them down to see if I answer them during the presentation. But if I don't answer them during the presentation, you're more than welcome to type them in. I do have a colleague in the room with me, Colby Sheffer, who will be reading off the questions to me so that I can answer to the best of my ability. Also, for those that we don't get to, as sometimes we do run out of time, I know we do have quite a bit of time though this time for this presentation. But if we don't get to your question, or you feel that your question is extremely specific and you desire something that is more tailored to you, you can email those questions to masspmo@gsa.gov, which is maspmo@gsa.gov. With that, I will get started. So the first thing I do want to go into is the FAST, the Federal Acquisition Service Training Conference. That will be held April 14th through the 16th of this year in Atlanta, Georgia. It is free for federal attendees, and it will have 20 continuous learning points. For contractors, this is something that you would have to register for also and pay. For contractors, you do have the option, though, to also pay for a booth and display your company as well. It's a great thing to come to when you're trying to determine what all of the contract vehicles that GSA offers have at those. We will have ample training. We have lots of different training courses that you can take so that you can tailor that training to what your needs are. Myself will be speaking in quite a few trainings, as will the rest of the Mass PMO. We will also have people on site to answer questions related to agencies, specifically to the MAS program in general, MAS program related to this consolidation and the various tools. We will also have classes specifically for industry that will go through the consolidation, go through the program, the flexibilities of that program, and discuss different topics in that regard. We will also have e-tools people on site. So if you have any questions related to any of our e-tools, you can go talk with them. Also for industry and agencies, we will have a room with various members from our acquisition workforce, including myself, where you can schedule appointments or just drop in to ask questions related to the Multiple Award Schedules program. This way we can provide a more high-touch feel of this event so that you guys can get your questions answered, and sometimes a question needs to go back and forth face-to-face, which is a great opportunity to have that. So I do invite everyone who's on here to please attend. So let's go into the consolidation. One of the things I do want to start with is this is the old schedules world, or what we call the legacy schedules. So this is going to set up what schedules actually were part of this consolidation. Majority of people know our Schedule 70 and our professional services schedules. They are our largest schedules with the largest amount of industry personnel on there, a largest contractor base. It is also where majority of our business volume goes through. These are the other schedules that some of you guys may be familiar with. One of the things is if you do buy medical supplies, you will notice that those schedules through that Schedule 65, and there are 9 versions of that schedule, are not here. Those are the ones that are delegated to the VAs, and they are not under this consolidation, as we are retaining that delegation to them for that. So again, these are the 24 schedules, the legacy schedules, that were in the midst of consolidating right now into one schedule. So this new schedule is organized by large categories. We tried as much as possible to map to the OMB categories as for the federal government. The reason we tried to do that is we tried to make sure we had a world in which we had didn't have different numbering systems than what people were already using. So we wanted to use things that were already in place as much as possible because it reduces the amount of different things that agencies have to learn if we all speak the same language. So these are the 12 large categories that we have. You will notice certain ones like furniture and furnishings have risen to a large category level where in OMB they are a subcategory. The reason being is related to buying practices. As we reviewed the buying practices, we noticed that a lot of people solely buy furniture and furnishings as a standalone solution. So we wanted to make sure that that was put together that way so it would be easily found and our industry base would be easily found as well. Another category that may not pop up as a category that you would normally see is miscellaneous. This is for items that really didn't fit under any other category, as we do offer a wide selection of commercial products and services under the Multiple Award Schedules program. But also this is where we house our complementary SINs. Complementary SINs are SINs that are not able to be used on a standalone basis, but are used to complement your order, to bring it to a solution. So an example of this would be an order level material or an ancillary item. So these are items that are similar to other direct costs in contracting language, but are things that are not the intent of the buy, but are things that are needed to complete the buy. So that's where you'll find those complementary SINs is under that miscellaneous category. So I'm going to go through the consolidation phases now, and I'm going to dive in a little bit deeper into each of these phases. Before I start going into them in depth, I do want to go through our background. So we started this project over 2 years ago, and one of the things that we did was we looked at all of the surveys that we had received from industry and from customer agencies. These are typically done through our customer loyalty survey or a supplier relationship management survey. So if you've gotten these in the past, we really recommend that you do fill them out and fill them out consciously, because we do read them and we find out what we need to fix in this program on a larger scale from them. Another thing we did is we worked with our national account managers that work with our agencies every single day to find out some of the things that they found were frustrating with the Multiple Award Schedules program. We use industry days with our industry partners to also ask these same questions about the Multiple Award Schedules program. What makes it great? What would you change? These were the main questions that we asked to all of our stakeholders. Thirdly, we did involve our acquisition workforce by facilitating an open discussion with a group of individuals through our acquisition workforce that would represent every acquisition center that we have. But we also put out a survey to our workforce related to what do you like about the program, what would you fix about the program. What people liked about the Multiple Award Schedules program was pretty similar across all boards: the flexibility in buying, the streamlined procedures, and blanket purchasing agreements. All of these items within the 8.4 parts of the FAR were things that people very much hit on. One of the larger things also was compliance. The assurity that you would be compliant as an agency because you bought through this program was one of the largest things we heard about what you liked about this program. What you would change about this program, once we took out change requests related to systems in general, we found that we had two underlying issues that rose to the top, and we could put almost everything that we got into one of these two categories. The first was consistency. We found that across all of our stakeholders, various members felt very passionately about the inconsistency that GSA provides. Basically, depending on who you talk to, you might get a different answer. When you talk to different people and get different answers and you're not sure where to go from that, it can be very frustrating. And that was some of the information we took back related to this program and something that we were determined to fix. The other topic that came loud and clear was duplication. With all of the contract vehicles being created in siloed environments, and as the need for solution-based buying became greater and greater, the schedules have started to overlap with each other and created a lot of duplication. Industry and agencies came with the same situation, and that was, I'm playing a guessing game. I have to guess which schedule I want to buy from, or I have to guess which schedule that I need to apply for. Especially with small business, we heard loud and clear, often they pick the wrong schedule, and only after getting on contract did they discover this situation. At that point, the amount of resources and funding they would need to get the schedule that they actually needed was not enough to go forward with it, and they would be stuck in that schedule for a while. So hearing these two main facts, we decided to look through all of the different schedules and see if we could pinpoint the duplication across the program and how we got things more consistent. After multiple rounds of facilitation and multiple rounds of going back and forth on what the best solution would be, one of the things we found out is there was not one current schedule that we had in the legacy world that was standalone that did not have duplication in another schedule. The other thing we found is there was not one schedule either that did not have a contractor or industry partner that did not have another contract and another schedule to provide their solution. At that point, we made the decision that the best thing to do for both consistency and to remove this duplication would be go down to one contract per contractor. And at the end of the day, that is the true goal of this project. So in phase one of the things we realized was that we needed to build a new solicitation, a single solicitation that would fit everyone's solution. We did put some parameters on this project. We were not going to introduce anything new into this new solicitation. It would only include the scope that was currently under the 24 legacy schedules. We would delete anything that was obsolete and align the terms and conditions to ensure that the numbering in them were the correct numbering, specifically with terms and conditions that had moved to the GSAR or the FAR, so that our regulations were clean. With that, we reviewed every single term and condition in each of those legacy schedules, and we also found out over 80% of our terms and conditions were consistent and across all of the 24 schedules. This is where we came into the category management side of how we were going to bundle the additional terms and conditions of the large category and subcategory and the special item number, if needed, level. So regardless if you are industry or agency, you will be able to look at our individual terms and conditions at a solicitation level and at a category level if you need to find a specific one. The next task we reviewed was the special item numbers. On the legacy schedules, we had about 900 special item numbers. On the current new consolidated mass schedule, we have just over 320. That should give you an idea of the amount of duplication that was going on in the legacy program. When we also looked at the special item numbers, the numbers themselves had been created by different people in various things for those different special item numbers. So one of the things that we did is we looked at those and decided to incorporate another numbering system that would make more sense, and this is where we came on the plan for the NAICS code. And so one of the things I want to go through here is this will go a little bit deeper into this slide with what the changes were. So you're going to see those 12 government-wide categories, 82 subcategories, and you can find this on the gsa.gov website. Our terms and conditions are streamlined now. We have them clean for this schedule, and we did have a reduction in sin. One of the other things that we try to do is, wherever possible in the description or the sin name, is use a plain language guideline related to that. Our hopes are that customers will be able to more quickly find the industry partners that they need with this plain language world. On October 1st, 2019, we did release the new solicitation. That new solicitation started accepting new offers on that October 1st. Prior to October 1st, about 2 to 3 days earlier, we did discontinue accepting offers against the 24 legacy schedules. That being said, we did get quite a few offers in that last week, so we are still continuing to award against those legacy contracts for anyone who submitted an offer prior to that date. So we're living in a bit of a two-world situation right now, where you have people still being onboarded on the legacy, but we also have this ability to start submitting under the new. One of the benefits to moving to one schedule is we can get all of those terms and conditions consistent, but also contractors will now be able to bring their offering in a solution base, which means agencies can now buy in a solution base, and we can allow that to come more naturally across all of that. One of the things during this whole process is we did not change any contract numbers in this process. So during the entirety of consolidation, you should not feel, if you're an agency, any interruption with any of ordering. And this includes blanket purchase agreements. As we know in the scheduled program, blanket purchase agreements are a very large part of the program. So we wanted to make sure that we did keep those contract numbers in place, so there was no need to change any ordering. If you do feel that you've had any disruption, you can contact the National Customer Service Center, and also you can contact masspmo@gsa.gov. Those are two places, or you can reach out to your national account manager as well. But there should not be any large changes related to how you put the blanket purchase agreement together, because in FPDS you should be only at the contract level, as it doesn't allow you to go down that special item number at all. So phase 2, which is what we are in the middle of right now. Phase 2 is moving all of these contracts over to the new schedule. So this started at the end of January 2020. Now you'll be able to see the 25 schedules in there. So it looks like we have just created a new one at this point. And the reason being is we need to give our contractors enough time to move to the new schedule. So one of the things we did is we just allowed everyone to see all of them. And as contractors accept what we put out, which is the mass modification, when they accept that, it will move them to the new vehicle of mass and remove them from their legacy schedule. We currently have approximately 52% of our contractors who have accepted the mass mod and moved over to the new schedule. And that is with just under a month of doing this work, which is really, really great. And we're very excited with that number. Some of the fixes that we put into our system so that we would ensure there would be no loss in competition, anything in that realm, is we did do an automated system fix in eBuy. So we did hear back loud and clear from all parties involved that they wanted to make sure that we didn't have to learn overnight what these new SINs were going to be. Or if you had an RFQ in process that you hadn't awarded, that you'd have to change anything. So until July of 2020, we will be releasing in August 2020, but until July 2020, we will be mapping both sides of the house. So if you select an old SIN or a legacy SIN, we will automatically map it to the new SIN and give you a pop-up that shows you what that new SIN is and that it includes it. This way you're going to get all of those industry partners alerted of your RFQ to ensure ample competition. Also, we've done it with vice versa. So if you select a new SIN, it will map to the legacy SIN, and the same situation will happen. You will be alerted that this is also going to include this legacy SIN, and all of those industry partners will be alerted. This way, irregardless of where the industry partner is in relation to signing that mass mod, everyone can continue doing business as is, and we can ensure that it's getting out to everyone and there is no removal of competition, but also we don't have any industry partners coming back saying that they did not get access to an RFQ that they should have. So that's going on right now. Contractor information is currently being posted in eLibrary. Again, you can go into eLibrary, and when you look at the schedules on the upper right-hand corner, there's a search functionality that when you look at that and you'll see the multiple award schedule is the first one that pops up. When you click on that, you can actually see all of the categories, large and subcategories, special item numbers, and click on the special item number and see all the different contractors underneath it. So that's something you can definitely look at on the eLibrary. GSA Advantage, we have kept all of those price lists in place. So if you're on GSA Advantage and you search an item, it will take you to everyone who has that item, irregardless if they are on the old or the new schedule. So again, as long as you're searching by product, you should be fine on there. Note that if you go through eLibrary for right now and you select a contractor and you select that GSA Advantage icon, it's going to take you to their entire price list, not just to those under the SIN. And we're just doing that while we're transitioning over to this new contract. So again, one of the benefits during this one is current contract holders are going to keep their current contract number. They are also going to keep all of their current contracts. So they're going to get a mass modification for each and every one of their contracts, whether they have one or they have the maximum right now, I believe, is 12. So depending on where they are on that spectrum, they will get as many mass mods as they need to have. The reason being, again, is that there are orders being processed every single day. And to ensure there's no disruption, we needed to ensure that we kept those contracts in place. The other items that will be kept in place, along with that current contract number, is going to be the period of performance of that contract. It doesn't start over, it doesn't change, none of that will be affected. So the same period of performance. We'll also keep their price list intact, any of their discount relationships intact, as well as any negotiated factors specifically related to a best value continuum. That would be delivery, warranty, educational factors, any of those things that are in there, prompt payment discounts, none of that is going to be affected. Those are all negotiated factors that will stay intact. This way we don't disrupt any of the buying that has already started. It's going to start quickly, and if you've already done your market research for a pending RFQ, you don't have to change any of it. All of that will stay intact. Again, we will automatically map for you in eBuy during these next couple of months while we are in this transitional phase. And then anyone who needs assistance in understanding the new SINs or anything in that world, you can definitely email masspmo@gsa.gov. We're more than happy to help, or contact your national account manager. They are the #1 person to ask. If you're not sure who that is, please let us know, and we're more than happy to connect you guys to that person for agencies. This way, you guys can get information from just one person, and you don't have to bounce around. And we are more than happy to connect that as much as possible. As I stated earlier, the special item numbers better align with the North American Industry Classification System, or the NAICS codes. What that means is we have NAICS codes that If it's a one-to-one relationship where the NAICS code in this is only assigned to one SIN, and that SIN only has one NAICS code, that SIN and the NAICS code are going to be the same number. So this way you can see what NAICS codes are on that contract. They will still have their preponderance NAICS, meaning that they have a NAICS code assigned to their contract that is in FPDS, that is the preponderance of work for that company. So that will remain the same, that will be unchanged. Size standard also will remain the same and be unchanged right now during this time in this phase. What you will also see in the special item numbers is you're going to see either truncated NAICS codes with alphanumeric or just truncated on its own, or a full NAICS code and an alphanumeric after it. The reason being is the NAICS code system is extremely specific when it comes to commodities, which means if you're selling something, we'll take apparel, for example, they break it down into male and female apparel. However, majority of the time in government we are buying unisex, so we wanted to put all the apparel together. So that gives you two NAICS codes that are going to, we will be using a hyphenated version, meaning we might use just the first 4 digits of that NAICS code, and then that's what the SIN will be. Also in services, NAICS codes are extremely broad, and they can be used multiple different ways related to that NAICS code. So you're going to see SINs that are going to share a NAICS code, meaning that a NAICS code could be on multiple SINs. Again, you will see an alphanumeric after that NAICS code to identify what program that is, and that will identify that scope. For the special item numbers, you should always be aware that the best way to use those numbers is to better identify the industry group that you need to have. What is that industry group? How do you reach the right industry group? And during this phase, when you're doing these things, we will make sure that you reach all of your industry group. However, remember to always use the SINs that way. We will be working towards doing some additional updates in eBuy related to the search functionality so that it will become a little bit more user-friendly. This will happen in phase 3, and one of the things we will be doing is we will be flipping eBuy the other way. So right now you really have to know which SINs you want to do eBuy. During phase 3, we're going to move eBuy to be a large category, subcategory filtering system so that you guys will be able to actually just read words to see what you need. And this will also allow you guys to open up the scope of what you're asking for to allow industry to come back with solutions that you may not have typically selected a SIN for if you just do a large and a subcategory. It's also less work for you because you don't have to click so many buttons. And that's really one of the benefits we're trying to get to, is trying to get it so you have to click the least amount of buttons to get to the people that you need to get to. So that drives me into phase 3, which will start in July, but really kick off in August 2020. We'll start doing some prep in July, but in August 2020 is really where you're going to see these changes. One of the changes is going to be we're going to be removing the 24 legacy schedules from all of our systems. This means you're only going to see the math contract. You won't see 25 anymore. You will just see that math plus the VA, 9 VA contract vehicles. This way we can finish moving over, and we are giving our contractors until this time to sign that math mod so that they can make sure that they are fully prepared for this and that they know what's going on and they can make the decisions that they need to make. Contractors who have more than one contract, this is where the math PMO will start reaching out to them, and we will start talking with them about what options they have. Essentially what we're going to do to ensure that there is no disruption in any services or work that is happening, we will be working with them to determine what their preponderance of work contract is, or better known as, in more simple terms, their ride or die contract. What is their contract that they want to continue with? What is their contract that determines who they are? Are they a professional services firm that happens to do IT, or are they an information technology firm that happens to do professional services? So we'll be using that situation to help them figure out where they need to fit. When they figure out which one of their contracts is that contract they want to go forward with, what they'll need to do is create a plan of what modifications need to get done to move all of their offerings to this new contract. So you've got this contract that's been in place for a while. It's moved to the new schedule. You now need to modify it to do a full, fair, and reasonable, to add any new special item numbers, products, services, or solutions. We're requiring a full modification because often our contracts are negotiated differently. And this is where we get into that consistency situation. You can get a different answer from different COs. All the answers may be correct, but they're still different. So getting to one contract allows us to really sink into that consistency, because there's only one contract, there's only one set of rules, there's only one relationship going on with that contractor and the CO in that world. So then that starts a effect of getting things more simplified, where also if agencies call a contractor, they're also getting a similar answer that is being done by that CO. So we'll work with them to determine which contract this should be, what their plan is to modify the contract to add their full offering so that they have a true solution-based contract that has the full offering that they need to have. And then what we'll do is work with them to determine what needs to be ended, which contracts need to be canceled. And these cannot be canceled until they identify to us what kind of ordering they have against that contract. Most of us know, and if you don't know, blanket purchase agreements, the period of performance cannot extend past the end date of a scheduled contract in 8.4. It is one of the regulations within the FAR. So one of the things we do need to ensure is that no blanket purchase agreement gets canceled accidentally because we changed the end date of a contract. So we're going to ask our contractors to really ensure that they've looked through all of their orders and validated that if they have any blanket purchase agreements, that they're picking a future date to do this cancellation. They're not going to be doing it right now. So that way we still maintain that no disruption in any of the ordering that is happening for customer agencies. And our end goal of this project is really for customer agencies to feel the least amount affected by this project as possible. So in this new world, after phase 3 starts, we're going to start seeing the ability for customers to purchase total solutions where you're not going to be running into companies that are teaming with themselves or other such things just so that they can bring that to market for you, but they will have it all on one contract. This allows us to use these flexibilities of teaming and other things for small business so that they can actually come to market with other companies to do that a little easier across the board. You can expect a continuity of that blanket purchase agreement during this consolidation. As I said, we will not allow anyone to cancel their contract until blanket purchase agreements are done, which means that this phase 3 most likely is going to last up to 5 years because a lot of our blanket purchase agreements have a 5-year period on them. And if you do have contractors who contact you related to blanket purchase agreement, 5-year period, it is a contractor's responsibility when they get into year 14 of their 20-year contract to start doing that follow-on contract so that they can have a contract that has enough runway for any BPAs that could be coming up. Order-level materials and other programs that we have related to ODCs will still be offered under various subcategories. However, because we did not want to change the scope of the current offering to ensure that we didn't hit any hiccups, you will see the OLMs will be at the subcategory level. And we are working with EBI to move the OLMs to a yes or no question, so that as you go through that ordering RFQ process in eBuy, it will guide you that if you do have the option to add them, it's a yes-no answer rather than you selecting that special item number as an option. So let's go through some of the ordering details. Contract numbers are not changing, so you do not need to recompete or move orders. You also do not need to move orders to a different contract just because a contractor wants to end that contract early. That they should be keeping that as long as you need that contract open for the current orders that are being placed. Now you can put new orders against the contract they're going to be keeping going forward, but for any orders that are in place, you do not need to actually move those. They can maintain on that contract. We will not cancel that contract till it's done. GSA is maintaining the underlying legacy schedule contracts until existing BPAs are either canceled or expired. So after July 2020, new BPAs are going to will be against the new schedule and SIN only, but before then you can continue to use those legacy skip SINs to issue BPAs, but note that it will automatically pick both sides. You can opt, though, at this time to start posting RFQs against the new SINs. As I stated, we did do the mapping on both sides, the legacy and the new. So again, you can start putting RFQs out against the new SINs so that you can, and you will get the same industry group as you normally would get in that arena. I do want to also recommend that when you are doing RFQs in eBuy, make sure you know which SIN you're picking. We do have a lot of feedback coming from industries that states that we do have some agencies who continue to post RFQs solely against the OLM SIN, the order level material SIN. This is not a SIN that you can order against exclusively. It is a complementary SIN. It needs to be in complement of another SIN. So just be aware that this is something that you really want to ensure you're getting the correct SIN so that you get the correct industry partners. You will be able to post RFQs on eBuy under legacy SINs until they are sunset after July 2020. So for everyone who is listening to this, if you are posting under those legacy SINs, I would most likely start moving to the new SINs sometime in June so that you don't have any disruption with what's going on in your agency. System details. So Advantage. When you click on the actual item in Advantage, you will be able to see the schedule number and the special item number. We provided instructions to all of industry through our Interact page that stated how they needed to update this. So you should start seeing this being updated. That being said, in Advantage, nobody is searching by special item number. You should be searching by the product that you need, just like you would on Google, Amazon, or anything else that you were searching for something, using that manufacturer part number, UPC code, or just the name of the item, such as telephone, paper, etc. This way you can ensure that you find everything that you need. Continue searching in these common terms so that you can get what you need bought quickly and purchase that way. Just so everyone knows, just because I got a question related to this today, Advantage does only use the purchase card. If you are an agency that utilizes one of our requisition channels through the order management service, OMS, you can use Millstrip or your DODAC on that side of the requisition channel. But if you are buying through Advantage, you do need to use a government purchase card. eBuy. 25 schedules will be visible starting January 2020. So right now, if you go in there, you should see the 25 different schedules. In July, we will start removing those 24 legacy schedules. We will put out comms that when you come in near the end of June, beginning July, you start putting the RFQ against the legacy special item number or legacy schedule. We will prompt you to just use the new one, just so that there are no issues as we transition and actually remove all these legacy special item numbers and schedules out of the system. We want to make sure there's no disruption for you, so we are going to prompt that we're going to be switching it to the new special item number only so that we can remove those and there's no issues with your order. Again, in August 2020, we will be flipping eBuy to do large categories that will filter down to subcategories and then to the special item numbers if needed. Our goal is to ensure that you don't have to go down to that special item number level. You would just be able to click one of those 12 large categories or multiples in that large categories, and then based on the large categories you select, it will pop up those subcategories, and you can filter down in each of those large categories to a specific subcategory if needed. So if you are doing something like contact centers and you need a bit of professional service and you need contact centers as a service altogether, but you need some extra support as well, you may select the large categories information technology and professional services. Once you get into those subcategories, you may just be selecting information technology solutions and professional services related to someone who's picking up the phone. Once you select those subcategories, you could put that out. If you wanted to just select the special item number, though, that is for the solution of contact centers, you could do that as well, as that would be expanded because there won't be an overlap like there was in the legacy schedule. So these are some of the things that you'll be able to do after August 2020. For now, you will continue to click on the special item numbers as you always have. Customers are always encouraged to create comprehensive, detailed RFQs and statement of work to specify the agency needs. This is always really important because this will give you back better quotes. So focus on that need more so than trying to narrow down or explaining what exactly needs to be done. Focus on the need and what the result would be rather than how it would be done. Let industry come back and tell you how they can do that. So eLibrary, we will continue with the 25 schedules. If you go there today, you will see the 25. In July 2020, we will remove the 24 legacy schedules. So you will have those legacy schedules removed so that you would just see our math. As I stated before, you will still see the 9 VA delegated schedules, but they are not part of this consolidation. As eLibrary is an inventory tool, the special item numbers under the mass vehicle do pop up as people get populated underneath it. So when contractors sign that mass mod, if no one else has that special item number today, when someone signs the mass mod that does have it, that's when that special item number will start to appear. Also, you should start seeing special item numbers start to drop off as contractors have all signed the mass mod under that special item number on the legacy side. You will be able to view the new schedule and SIN structure on eLibrary for reference of what contractors we have. One of the items that is wonderful in this new world is in eLibrary, you do have the ability to download a complete contractor inventory. In the past, you would have had to do it separately for each of the 24 schedules. Once July hits and we've removed those old ones, you will be able to do that inventory really quickly with just this one schedule and get a full view of what industry partners we have. This also allows you to search by location and other distinguishing factors that you might need, such as socioeconomic. This will allow you guys to do your market research more seamlessly because there are less steps involved. It will allow you to see as a whole in that math program how many contractors we have, how many people in socioeconomic categories, business side, location. You can sort by large category, subcategory, and such. SPDS, there is no impact to SPDS, as the contract numbers will not change, nor will the period of performance, nor will the preponderance NAICS assigned in the system. All of this data will continue in that contract file and the what's called the IDV table in SPDS. So all of that contract information, when you enter an award on the award table, when you put that order in and you're connecting to that contract level, all of that will be seamless. You're not going to see any impact to that. We will have all that connected because we are not changing any of those factors that are pushing to SPDS. State and local. State and local will stay the same scope as it is today. For disaster recovery purchasing, public health emergencies, and other programs such as that, it will continue to be accessed across the entire schedules program, available for every special item number. For the disaster recovery, it is when that program is in preparation or in response to a disaster event. Public health emergencies, once a public health emergency is declared, state and local can use those authorities to purchase off the multiple award schedules program. Cooperative purchasing, which is slightly different, this will be at the special item number, and you will actually be able to see the cooperative purchasing both in the Advantage file and also on eLibrary. It will actually be in the description of the SIN on eLibrary so that you guys will know exactly which ones are subject to the cooperative purchasing. Cooperative purchasing is slightly different than disaster purchasing. It is specific to information technology and the security schedule that was previously 84, which will now be security under the large categories. We've kept this the same because we do not have the authority to expand the scope of this offering. So when you do things like cooperative purchasing or the 1122 program, it will be at that special item number level, and it will follow the same rules as it has always followed. You can access a mapping from the legacy SINs to the new SINs if you are more comfortable with the legacy SINs and you just want to see where it went so that you know what new SIN that is. We do have a couple of agencies that do reach out that they just use the same special item number over and over and over again. So if you have a special item number that is near and dear to your heart that you use repetitively, I do recommend that you look up to see what the new SIN is so you can start getting used to that. Training and resources. GSA is offering these monthly SATOS classes available for registration on the gsa.gov events page. The next classes are March 11th and April 8th. It will be the same information. So if you really love this training and you want to go again and again, you're more than welcome to join us. If you decided once is enough and you're golden, you do not need to attend the future trainings. It will be the same information. Our resources, you can visit gsa.gov, the Schedules World, gsa.gov/schedules. If you want to look at what our math offerings are, gsa.gov/math offerings, this will let you know by large category what those offerings are, and you can go into a little bit more detail. And if you haven't already, which since a lot of you guys are on this training, I assume you already have because that's how you register for this training, you can subscribe or join the Math Interact community, and all you would need to do is when you look at the Math Interact page, on the far right it has a button that says join this community. If you click that, you can join the community. This way it will email you updates every time something is updated on this Interact page. I will note though, for especially agencies, there is a lot of changes happening right now in the multiple award schedules program as subject to this project. So you will probably get quite a few emails related to updates where a lot of that may be pertained to industry. You are more than welcome to read, review, or attend any of this information. Just note that some of the webinars related to industry specifically are not CLP certified, and you will not get CLPs for it. And at this time, I want to thank everyone for attending, but we will change the screen so that we can do questions.
Hey, thanks, Stephanie. Hey, folks, if you have a question, you can type it in at the bottom of this Q&A pod. There's a little box down there. Just type in your question or cut and paste your question in there, and we'll get them answered as they come in on the right-hand side. Stephanie will see the questions as they come in, so feel free to ask those questions. And again, just as a reminder, if you're registered in FATAS, you'll get 2 CLPs in your FATAS account, so no action needed on your part, though. That'll be applied to your account in FATAS. And if you didn't get a copy of today's presentation, it's in the lower left hand corner of your screen. Just click on the FCL GSA 0220 file name and then click the download file button below.
Thank you so much, David, and thank you all. My name is Colby. I work for Stephanie, and so I'll be verbalizing the questions that we have so far. So from Sydney, she asks, what's the process for adding more SINs to an existing contract? Is it any different from the past?
So it's going to be 99.9% the same as in the past. What may change is the template. If you go to Interact, we actually will have a training. I believe the first one is tomorrow, and the next one is the first week of March, where we will be going through the new modification guidance and package. I recommend highly that you do attend that training.
From another guest, are current contract holders able to submit a modification to add a new SIN at this time?
No, currently the add SIN and delete SIN modification type has been disabled while we are going through this transition. It will come back on March 14th, so in just over 2 weeks, about 2.5 at this point, at which point you will be able to start adding new SINs if you have accepted the mass modification.
From Mark, he asks, where do you go to see the crosswalk of the legacy SINs to the new SIN? Didn't notice it on the GSE library.
So it is on the far right corner on GSA eLibrary, or you can go to gsa.gov/mass offerings, and if you go through that mass roadmap under available offerings and requirements, it is also there as well.
It's also attached to our most recent Interact post.
Yes.
Like preparing for the mass mod is probably our most popular recent one, and that has it as an attachment. So feel free to just, it's I think the 3rd or 4th Interact post down.
Yeah. And Mark, if you still can't find it, just email masspmo@gsa.gov. I'd be more than happy to email it to you.
Rania asks, once we, a contractor, accept the mass mod, what are the next steps?
So once you accept the mass modification, the first step you should do is to go into eLibrary to ensure that your information is showing up correctly, meaning that you show up under the mass contract and your special item numbers are the new NAICS code-based special item numbers. The next thing you should do is, if you have a product line that is in GSA Advantage, you should utilize the SIP transfer or merge functionality that the instructions are on Interact under the checklist for preparing for the mass modification, which is a great Interact post to look at and go through related to this entire question. You can go through those steps on that attached document, and that will demonstrate what you need to do to update the back data, which may take 24 to 48 hours to do, to update the back data to your new mass schedule rather than your legacy schedule and your new SIN structure. It will not change anything in your actual price list. It will just change that back data. Then the next step would be to update your text file. So if you are a services contractor or a contractor that provides services or products, you do have a text file associated with your price list. These are your basic terms and conditions related specifically to your best value continuum: warranty, delivery, more specifics into labor categories. For service contractors, this is where you also put your price list of what labor categories you provide and that pricing related to that. You will need to go in there and update any special item numbers to the new special item number series, and you will need to update the schedule to multiple award schedule, and then the schedule number will be MAS. That way all of your stuff was going to start matching. Also, with the new SIN structure, if you do find that you have a NAICS now associated with your contract, not your preponderance NAICS, but an additional NAICS based on that SIN that you do not have on your SAM profile, it is a best practice to go update that SAM profile to add that NAICS to that profile. But as long as you have your preponderance NAICS in that profile, that is the most important one to have and have that match what's on your schedule.
Sydney asks, in the new solicitation, does the government provide more guidance on labor category descriptions and labor rates?
So we provide typically the same guidance for this new schedule. That being said, we do have other projects happening right now related to catalog and through what we would be calling a digital experience. And these projects may affect us in the future where we would be providing more guidance related to what that description should be. If you are a contractor or agency, note that when you look at that price list, making sure that you have a labor category name that properly identifies what that labor is going to be entailing and a description that also includes what that labor will be doing, it is always in the best interest of everyone, because then there is a clean and easy way to understand exactly what is on your price list. And then regardless of how an RFQ is written, it is an easier crosswalk to make to whatever labor categories have been suggested in that RFQ if you have them cleanly identified.
Ashley asks, when posting a requirement on eBuy, will the vendors with the specific category / NIC selected be the only ones able to see and respond?
So for right now until July, if you post on eBuy through one of the new special item numbers, you will get the new and the old. If you are posting after July and you're going through a category, any industry partner that has that special item number will be able to reply. Please note that if you are using eBuy, it is best to base your socioeconomic category on what is awarded at the contract level, not a specific NAICS. The reason being is the preponderance NAICS of that contract for when it is awarded, as we must establish a preponderance of NAICS per the FAR for each and every contract, and currently that is only one NAICS. That may not be the NAICS that you are selecting. However, that contract in general may have that NAICS on their contract. So if you want to ensure that your socioeconomic matches what's in your RFQ at all times, make sure that you state that you want a socioeconomic at a contract level. That way, when you do put your order in FPDS, when you put that order in on that award table, the award table NAICS and size standard is going to be overwritten by whatever is on that contract level. So when those match, everything's going to match on both sides, and you're not going to have any issues on that or surprises later on. So just be aware, especially when using eBuy, you can state that the contractor needs to have this NAICS, but what you really want to do is make sure that you're asking them what you want performed and that you're stating that at the contract level they need to be awarded a contract with a specific business size. Now, whether that's just a generic small business across the board, hub zone, woman-owned, small, disabled, veteran-owned, whatever that socioeconomic is, you want that at the contract level awarded for that mass contract.
Stephen asks, right now we can search eLibrary based on a schedule number, like 56. From there, we can download the entire list of Legacy 56 contractors. Will there be an equivalent to this search capability after the proposed changes are implemented?
Yes, so we continuously have that, Stephen. We will continue to have that. So if you go to the mass vehicle right now, you will have that option to download all the contractors in there. It is something that we retained across the board, and it is something that you can do today, you will be able to do tomorrow, you will be able to do all through each of these phases throughout this entire project.
Clarissa asks, is there any impact to small business set-asides and business size with the SIN and NAICS changes under the consolidation?
So we did keep the preponderance NAICS the same, which means that contractor will still have the same socioeconomic status on that contract number. The socioeconomic status typically in GSA is reviewed during the option year, which is every 5 years we do review that to ensure that it is the correct size standard for that company. For small business, for small business set-asides, as always, you can continue to do small business set-asides on the scheduled program. You can't do any sole sourcing, but you can do those small business set-asides, meaning that you can put in your RFQ as an evaluation factor that it is a small business set-aside and that you are only accepting orders that are small business. And that you will be rejecting any orders that are not small business for any quotes that you get back. We did retain the small business set-aside SIN, and as always, we will continue to bifurcate those contracts, meaning a company that selects those small business set-aside SINs will automatically get populated with 2 contracts, an unrestricted version where they could be small business overall, and a small business only version if they have those small business SINs. And we will maintain those small business SINs for right now. You will be able to see which SINs are small business set-asides by the SIN description, but also majority of them have an SBSA after the NAICS code that it is associated with.
Vanessa asks, IFSS 600 requires the FSC code to be indicated on the price list cover page. Previously, the FSC, or PSS, Professional Services Schedule, was 00 Corp. What is the FSC code for MAS?
MAS.
Kate asks, and I actually have the link for you, Kate, if I can type it in here. I'm not seeing the AdSIN training session at interact.gsa.gov. And I will enter the link in and see if I can answer.
It will be called modification training, I believe is what it's called.
Yes, it is the second Interact post down on the MAS Interact community page, and the title is Register Now for MAS Modification Guidance Training. So that AdSIN is a MAS mod, so that is training. It's tomorrow. The first one's tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, and there's another one on the 4th, I believe, of March, if you can attend. Yeah. So highly recommend going and registering, Kate.
And if you can't find it still, Kate, please email masspmo@gsa.gov. We're more than happy to forward you that link so you can register for that training. It will, again, be MAS as MAS modification training, which is different than MAS MASS, which is a modification to the masses, where that is how we get everyone on this new schedule.
Bridget asks, when will FSS Online reflect the new SIN?
So FSS Online should reflect the new SIN after about 24 to 48 hours after the contractor signs the MAS mod. What you will see, depending on when their reporting is, you may see both sets of SINs in there, their legacy and their new. The main reason is when you go into FSS Online, when you look at the SINs, it shows you all the ones that they're reporting under. It should have those legacy ones and the new ones, and the system will cache overnight to input those special item numbers. But it depends on what time of the day the contractor signs the MAS mod. So if they sign before noon Eastern, it's probably going to cache that night. If they sign, as long as the system doesn't have any hiccups, which unfortunately legacy systems tend to have. If they sign it after noon, it most likely will take till the next night to cycle, because it picks up all the data around noon every single day and then cycles that night.
That was the last question we have in the chat box so far, but we can give folks another couple minutes, and feel free to keep chatting them in. We still have quite a bit of time if there's more questions and conversation to be had.
Thanks, Colby. Thanks, Stephanie. Any more questions for our experts on the line here? We ran through a lot of material, and just to let you know, I did post that Interact URL in the Q&A pod, so everyone, you can, if you want to attend that training, feel free to click on that link. It'll take you over to the Interact article that talks about the MAS modification guidance training. Any other questions? Don't see anything coming in. And again, I think we've repeated the email address. If folks have a question later today that they think of, they could email that. It's MASPMO, correct, at gsa.gov?
MASPMO@gsa.gov. And if you guys would like a copy of the presentation, as David said, it is on the far left side of the screen. You should be able to click that and download that.
Okay. Now I'll answer the last question that just popped in here from Michael. How do you get a training certificate? Well, if you're a government person and you're registered in FATAS, you'll get a 2 CLPs in your account, and there's a little icon you can click on in your training history to get a certificate. If you're with industry, I don't really have that capability if you're with industry, but this training was geared for government folks, so my apologies if you're with industry, but all government folks will get 2 CLPs today. You'll get a CLP, Michael. And yes, we did record today, and it'll be available, I believe, on GSA YouTube. Is that the goal, Stephanie?
Yes, as soon as our team is able to, do the 508 compliance and clean everything up, which we can fast track, this will be posted on the GSA YouTube page along with all of our public webinar trainings that are given. There's a lot that is on there already, a lot of industry information in particular based on all the contracting changes that have occurred. So please feel free to go to our YouTube page, and if you have any colleagues, especially if you are a federal agency partner that have questions, or you're in a meeting and this comes up, mass consolidation, what's going on, please don't hesitate to say, go to the GSA.gov events page. There are trainings happening. Email MassPMO at any time. And please also join us at FAST 2020 if you're able. We have over 9 specific mass sessions. Our director, Stephanie, will be giving several herself, and our entire team will be at a booth for one-on-one conversations. We will also have a customer brochure on mass consolidation with all this material summarized. So will be a ton of great information. I can only speak for mass, but GSA-wide. So again, highly recommend going to gsa.gov/FAST and registering. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Colby. Thanks, Stephanie, for your time this afternoon, and I want to thank everyone that attended. Great session.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Thank you, David,
Thank you.
for helping us facilitate.
Sure thing. Have a great day.
Take care.
Bye, everyone.